And now, without any further delay, I would like to turn today's presentation over to your speaker. That is Michael Niñas. He is Senior Director, Product Management, Web and Graphic Design at Adobe. Michael, you have the floor.
Excellent. Good morning. Thank you. Go ahead and switch me to share. Awesome. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Depending on where you're calling in from and attending, maybe it's morning, maybe it's evening. But thank you so much for joining us today. We have a lot to cover. We were looking at the poll questions as you guys were filling them out, waiting for the conference to start, the session to start, and it looked like the vast majority of you have not used Spark before. So that's great. We'll do an overview of what Spark is, more specifically what it can be used to create, and then we'll show just how easy it is to create this type of content. We'll just jump right in. I'm also going to talk about not just creating content, but creating branded content, content that uses your brand look and feel, font, colors, and logos, and how Spark as a system helps you create this visual content that stays on brand once you've set that up. So Spark is a system to help you create and share visual stories. And when I say it's a system, what I mean is that it's an integrated web and mobile solution. So there's no software to download on the desktop. It just runs in a browser. So all the content that I'm going to show you that Spark can be used to create can be done right within the browser. If you have a mobile device, we have separate applications for each of the formats available on iOS, so iPhone and iPad as well. And we are, just get it out of the way, we are working on Android versions. I'm sure that will be a question that many will put into the question pod there. There are currently three different formats or applications within the Spark system. There's Spark Post, there's Spark Page, and there's Spark Video. And each kind of specializes a different flavor of visual content. So Spark Post, we'll talk about that first. It makes it really easy to create stunning social graphics and posts. But it's not just for social graphics. You know, it's also going to be used to create flyers and brochures and posters, things that can be downloaded and printed as well. So even though the name really indicates where we started with the product, really tailoring it and focusing it to social media graphics, you know, we've been in market for almost 2 years, and the use cases for Spark Post continue to expand. For Spark Page, it lets anyone create beautiful web stories. So the format is published as HTML. It's responsive HTML, so it guarantees that your documents, your presentations, your pages that you create here look beautiful on every device, regardless of the screen size. It's a really easy to use product. It lets you create really complex and deep stories with combining text, graphics, and videos as well if you choose to insert that type of content. And then the third format is Spark Video, and this offers a really simple way to create animated videos using your voice, and then you can also use text, images, icons, and of course video clips, as the name denotes. So that's a really quick overview of what Spark is, the three different components. It's best now to actually just get into the product and actually show you how it all works. So let's jump over, and I'll show you a couple examples of the type of content that you can create with Spark, and then we'll get into each of the individual format editors. So this is what you're looking at here in this feed on the screen is a bunch of social media graphics that I created with Spark Post. I can't see all you out there, so I'll just ask the question. I'm imagining that a lot of you will answer your hand metaphorically. If I were to ask you, how many of you are having to create social media content and really just get it, it's just annoying to have to create the same content, the same basic design in, a variety of different sizes and flavors for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, you name it. Seems to be a new flavor that crops up every day that marketers want to take advantage of. So that can be a real drudgery type of work. It's just a lot of manual repeat labor. We're going to show you how Post simplifies that quite a bit. Let's jump over and show you a couple other examples. So this is an example of content created with Spark Video. Great for creating video presentations, social media videos, marketing videos, event recaps, self-running presentations, video slideshows, you name it. There's a lot you can do with these individual formats. This is just an example. I'll go ahead and press play. You may not hear the audio coming through the Connect presentation software, but some of you might. But know that there is a soundtrack being played as well. that gives you a flavor, combining images, text, graphics, video, and a very simple to use tool that takes care of a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And again, we'll show you how we made that particular video here in just a few moments. And then the last format to kind of give you a preview of is that Spark page. And here's a beautiful digital brochure or newsletter or trip report or promotional page, whatever you want to use page for. The basic format lends itself to a lot of different use cases. You'll see as you scroll, you've got beautiful photography that can be presented in a number of ways. Nice text and typography. You don't have to be a designer to figure out which fonts work well together. Spark's going to take care of that for you. Nice animation. Again, that may not be coming through over Spark, through Connect very well, but you'll see in these scroll effects and subtle animations as you're engaging with that content. Now, the great thing about Spark Page, when you publish your pages, again, it is a responsive design by default. You as the user don't have to worry about creating a web, a desktop or a mobile version. It just takes care of that for you, and it looks gorgeous on a small phone, on a tablet, or of course in a full-size browser. Okay, so that's the 3 different formats and examples of what you can create. You'll notice that, hopefully you noticed that as I was showing you the social media graphics, the video, and this web page, they all had a consistent look and feel. They were all using the same fonts, the same colors. Where there was branding, they were using the logo, the identity of this particular company that we're kind of highlighting for the demo purposes here. So let's jump over to the actual web editor for Spark. And what I'm going to do to kind of get started, instead of just jumping right into an editor, I'm going to set up our brand. There are 2 flavors of Spark. There is a free version that anybody can use. You just need to register and have an Adobe ID if you don't already have one. And then you can use that anywhere, any browser for free. All the content you create as a free user will have Spark branding on it. And if you want to remove that branding and replace it with your own, then there is a Spark with premium features version of Spark. If any of you are already subscribers, paid subscribers to the Creative Cloud, just about every flavor of Creative Cloud subscription has Spark with premium features included in your other subscription. So there's no additional cost for you if you're already a CC subscriber. So I'm going to pretend that I have not set up my brand yet, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what that process has looked like. Again, that is, as a paid user, as a premium user, you have access to replace the Spark branding and make it your own. You begin by just clicking the Add Brand button in the upper left-hand corner. And it's a very simple set of questions. First thing is you just need to give it 3 design ingredients, and Spark will generate a brand kit for you, if you will. It'll create a set of templates and themes and a bunch of other content for you. That all is unified and on brand. So you first your first step is just to upload your logo, whatever that logo happens to be. So I'm going to click on the Upload Your Logo, and I'll go ahead and choose the primary version of my logo, this purple version. Go ahead and choose, and that adds it to the system. On the right, hopefully what you'll see, you start to get a little preview of how these example templates and themes are coming to life. So you'll see that that logo is showing up over in the preview. I'm going to go ahead and add my primary brand color as well. Now we've got some design intelligence built into the Spark system. You'll see that it automatically assumes that your primary color might be the color of your logo. So if that's what you want to use as your primary color, you just go ahead and click on that. And again, on the right, you're starting to see your templates start to become personalized to your particular brand choices. Now you may have more colors in your brand, and that's okay. We'll go ahead and set up additional colors in a later step once we've completed the initial brand setup. But just to get started, it's not all that complicated. You just upload one version of your logo, pick one brand color, and then pick a brand font as well as your third step. I'm going to scroll down and choose a really nice, thick typeface for my brand, Museo Slab, and that's it. Next, the only thing you have to do now is click the Next button, and that's going to take about a minute or so to generate branded themes and templates for you to use across all the formats. In the interest of time, I'm going to skip clicking the Next button and actually switch to a different account where my brand has already been created. This is where you would end up if I had clicked the Next button on that other screen. After about a minute or so, you would be taken here, and you're now looking at your Manage Brand screen, the brand kit. and it's organized by format, so to speak. So the first thing you'll see at the top is the templates for Post, Spark Post. These are all branded templates that the system actually created for you by default. It just showcases a variety of use cases that Post can be used for. As you'll see in small text there's a template for an Instagram or Snapchat story, or for a blog post, or for a poster, or a Pinterest pin, and so forth. This is just giving you a high-level glimpse of some of the templates. If I click the See All link, I'll see these are all the base templates that Spark created for me when I completed my brand setup. You can, of course, create as many more templates as you wish. If some of these don't apply to you, you can certainly delete them. And all these templates can also be edited. So if I hover over a template, the default action there is create from, meaning create a new project using this template as the starting point. If I click on the ... whenever I hover over a screen, a template, I get more options. And I can choose to edit any particular template. That'll actually launch the Post editor right here in the browser, where I can start editing this template if I want. And we'll do some of that in just a minute. So high level, first thing you see are the row of Post templates that you can, of course, customize. You'll see that it's using your font, your color, and the logo that we chose in that brand setup screen. If we scroll down a little bit further, the two other formats in Spark, page and video, you take care of the styling with those formats with basically one-click themes. You click on a theme and it instantly changes the look and feel, the typography, the color schemes, even some of the motion presets change based on your themes. So what you're seeing here is that the brand manager has created specific branded themes to be used in page and video. And again, I'll show you where we use those in a moment. And you see it created 3 different versions, type on a light background, a medium, and type on a dark background. Again, just like I said for Post, the templates can be edited. You can edit any of these themes as well if you don't like the default choices that we applied in our branded themes. And of course, you can create a new branded theme from scratch by clicking the plus button. You'll hear a joke from time to time. If you can click a plus button, you can use Adobe Spark. That's pretty much how hard or easy it is, depending on your perspective. If we scroll down to the bottom, there are additional branded surfaces that show up from time to time, where you have the option to apply to your projects. So for instance, in Post, you can apply a stamp, a logo in the bottom right-hand corner, or wherever you want to position it in your graphics, if you choose to do so. If you're creating a Spark video, you might want a logo as a watermark or in your outro screen. For a Spark page, you may want a banner or a header at the top when you initially load that Spark page. And then when you get to the bottom, you may want to include your branding in the footer as well. Again, we'll take a look at these in context in just a moment, just giving you a really quick tour of the brand manager once you set up your brand. Now, if you have additional logos and additional colors, easy to add those to your brand as well. I'm just going to go ahead and click on the logo in the upper left-hand corner here. And it sees there's my primary logo. You see behind the scenes, I had actually already added a secondary version, a white version of the logo. I'm going to go ahead and click that plus button, and I can load up additional variations if I have them for my particular brand. So for this particular brand, I've got a secondary color, this nice aqua color, because it's a Zulu Surf Shop is the name of the company. And I'll add one more brand logo, the black version. And then I'll be able to pick and choose from these branded assets whenever I'm in my editors there. It makes it really quick and easy to do that. If I have additional colors for my brand, I can just go ahead and click on the color swatch as well and add additional colors. So remember, we chose just a single primary color in the setup, that it automatically created some complementary shades to go along with the primary color. And then if I have some other contrasting colors that are actually part of my brand, I can go and add those as well. I'm going to click the plus button. And if you happen to know your hex code number, or if you work with a designer, if you aren't one, they can probably tell you what your brand colors are via the hex codes. So I'm going to add that aqua color by typing in that specific hex code value. I'll go ahead and hit save, and that adds a secondary color to my brand color palette. And I'll add one more. We also have kind of an orangey sun color for this brand as well. So we'll enter that in as well. 322, there we go. And now I've completed or customized my brand beyond just the initial 3 questions. All right, looking good. We've got our brand set up. We'll come back to this later on in the session. But for now, let's go back to our projects list. and these are all the projects that I've already created. I can go ahead and click on any project. If I want to continue editing it, that's the default action. If I want to use any project as a starting point for a new project, again, I can click on the ... and choose duplicate, and that will create a copy so that I'm not damaging or altering the original there. I'm going to go ahead and go into Post and actually start showing you how easy it is to create some of this content now that we've got our brand set up. So at the top in the browser, there's a what we call it the big blue plus button. We'll go ahead and click on that, and that's where you can start creating new projects from scratch by choosing which format that you want to create from. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Post and ask you a couple questions. Because we've actually set up our brand, the first question is, do you want to start with branding? Do you want your font to be the brand font? Do you want the color palette being used for that project to be your brand colors? So you always have that option once you've set up your brand. Or do you just want to start from scratch because maybe I'm doing a project that's not necessarily for my specific business. Maybe I have a side hustle or a volunteer project, and they, of course, aren't going to use my company's brand. So you have that option. You'll notice that the branded templates that I showed you in the Brand Manager, when I go into the Post, start from scratch workflow, they're all available for me to use as a starting point here. So I can choose one of those. I can also click on the Feature button, and this was a running list, a dynamic list of templates that we continue to publish into the system on a weekly and sometimes daily basis. So there's always new templates coming into the system for you to utilize and choose from. I'm going to go back to my branded templates. I'm going to scroll through and choose this announcement template that I like, and I want to use that as a starting point to create a new project. So I'll go ahead and click on that, and that will launch the Post-specific editor with that project ready for me to edit. So I'm going to go ahead and tweak this and make it my own. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and replace the image instead of using this placeholder image. The web editor of Post is such that when I don't have anything selected in my project here on the canvas, then what I'm seeing are global options. So I can change the overall design. By clicking the Design button, you'll see that I have variations. What this means are these are other designs that I could apply to my content that's currently in my project. So if I go ahead and click on this particular example, you'll see it didn't replace my picture or my or my actual text. It just applied the style of that variation design to my content. So I can click through. This is a great way if you don't know what you want to make your header content look like. You're just looking for inspiration. As I click on any of these suggested designs, you'll see it really with one click. I get these really quick iterations to actually choose from. We recently shipped a new version of PostWeb that added undo. So if I don't like any of those designs, I want to get back to my original version when I first started, I can just hit Command or Control Z. Or of course I can click the undo, redo buttons at the top, and I'm right back where I started. If I go to the colors palette, this is actually one of my favorite features of Spark Post. You may, if some of you use pro products like Illustrator, there's or Photoshop, there's these really complicated colorization features there, and Post has its own special flavor of that. So this is the current color palette that's being used for this document. This is that brand color palette that we set up in the Brand Manager. If I click that Shuffle button, you'll see what happens is that it actually just cycles through different treatments from that color palette. I can also go to a completely different color palette and actually with just one click get an entirely different colorization of that content. So pretty fun, pretty exciting. All right, let's go back to our brand. I'm going to go ahead and change this text. I'm going to go ahead and double click to edit, and we'll change it to Memorial Day Sale. Yes, the official start of summer is this weekend. Memorial Day Sale, great. So I'm creating a promotional graphic to promote a sale, let's say. Another great feature of Spark Post is this what we call magic text. It's this button on the far right for the alignment options. And it does a special, takes your text and puts it all cap and makes it fit full justified. Now what's nice about this is it's dynamic. So as I resize the text frame, it automatically relays out that text without me having to do a bunch of manual formatting. So I can go ahead and move that into the center, and I get my nice snap guides. Go ahead and double click to edit that text as well. We'll say 50% off, board shorts. looking good. And we'll go ahead and change that to center text, maybe stretch that out a little bit, and put that into position. All right. Now if I want to add my logo to this design, because I hadn't added that in the template, I'm going to go ahead and select this rectangle and move it up to make room. And go ahead and try that again. All right, click on my layout here. And just resize that a bit. There we go. Okay, so I want to go ahead and add my logo. So I'll go to the Add button, and I'll choose Logo. And you'll see all those logos that I added into my Brand Manager are ready for me to apply within my editor here. So I'm going to click on the logo I want to use, and it by default puts it in the lower right-hand corner. Of course, I can go ahead and reposition that, move it to a different location, scale it, lower its opacity, so that it's really applicable to the content that I want to use it on. I'll go ahead and double-click on my image here. That brings up the Replace Photo screen, where I can go ahead and choose a photo specific for my particular campaign that I'm working on here. Go ahead and choose Board Shorts, and it replaces that graphic. So what I've done is I've created the Instagram version of this promotional piece, but you know that our work's not done if we're a social media marketer or wear that hat in whatever role that you have at the company or organization you work in. You have to then create variations of this. I want to be able to do that very quickly with one click inside Post here. So if I go to my Resize button on the far right, you'll see these are all the sizes that Post can, has as presets. Of course, you can create a custom size as well if we don't have the preset you're looking for. You can just type in the pixel dimensions of the project size you want. Here I started with Instagram Square. If I click on the Facebook, just with one click, it automatically knows what the right size is for Facebook, and it resizes that document and then attempts to lay out that content better. I can also go ahead and move it if it needs a little bit of adjustment. If I don't like the crop of that image, I can go and reposition that as well. And I would go ahead and save that or download it. And I have that the Facebook version. If I want to continue, I can go and make it a Pinterest version. And again, just with one click, I get an entirely new size. If I want that to be an Instagram portrait or a Facebook ad, you get the idea. So hopefully for those of you who have never seen this before and you're doing this the manual way in other products, this is a little bit of an inspiration for how Spark can help you create this type of content much more rapidly. All right, I'm going to go back to my organizer here, and we'll switch over to the iPhone just to show you what it's like to use Spark Post on a mobile device as well. And go ahead and put that in full screen and move that out of the way. Good. All right, so we're going to launch Spark Post. You'll see I have that as an iOS app. And you'll see, remember when at the very beginning I said that Spark is an integrated system. It's a mobile and web integrated system. So all the content that I created in the web browser automatically syncs over to my device here. So you'll see that's that first project in the upper left-hand corner. That's the one we had just edited and created in the browser. I could go ahead and tap on that to open it up and start continue working on it here on my phone if I want to. If I go to the templates feed by tapping in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see these are all the templates that are currently available in Post. They're organized by category. At the top, there's a special category again for my branded templates. So if you've got specific starting points that you want to always start from, they have been automatically synced from the cloud down to my device here as well. Now, because we create probably more templates than you ever will, we're constantly adding new designs to our system to inspire you. At any point, you can actually click on one of these templates and remix it to make it your own. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on this one. Nice, simple, two image layout, split screen with a simple piece of text. And then go ahead and tap the remix button, and that will launch that and create a copy of that for me ready to edit. Just like you saw on the web version, I've got a variety of options down below here. I'm going to tap on Design, and the button that I want to draw your attention to in the Design tab is this button called Brandify. And as you hopefully might expect, if I just one tap that button, it's going to automatically apply my brand to this project. So it replaces the font to match my brand font. If there were colors being used in this particular document other than white, it would replace the colors to use my brand color palette. And of course, it added the primary logo to my design as well. So with just one tap, I can take any of the templates that Spark is publishing and making available for you to use, you can remix them and make them your own, and specifically make them your own brand, just with one click tapping the Brandify button. All right, so that's that. Let's go ahead and just create one more project. I'm going to start from scratch, just to show that you don't always have to start from a template. To do that, I'm going to click the plus button at the bottom, and it asks me how I want to start this project. I'm going to choose Photo Library and just choose, let's say, 3 images from my camera roll, from my photo library here. And as you might expect, if you choose more than one image, Post is going to create a collage for me. You then choose the size. We'll just go ahead with Instagram Square again. And I'm going to tap Done. And that's going to add a placeholder piece of text there as well, in case you want to have text content on this design as well. If you don't, you can just delete it, or you can reposition it and edit it. I'm going to change, I want to explore different ways to lay out this content. So if I tap on the Layout button, you'll see I have a row of suggested alternate grids that I can choose from. Post knows that in addition to the 3 images that we chose from the photo gallery, it also has a 4th object, that text object. So you'll see it's actually providing suggested layouts that include 4 cells, not just 3. So if I tap on that button, it automatically lays out that content. You'll notice that whenever there's a shuffle button, a shuffle little icon in Post, that means tap me again to see a different variation. So if I tap that shuffle button on the layout button, you'll see that it automatically just cycles through different layout treatments of swapping the images without having to do a lot of manual drag and drop. It also experiments and figures out where to place the text as well. So I can tap Done, and then I'll tap on that text. If I don't want the text to have a backing shape behind it, this particular design has one, I'm going to go ahead and just scroll over and choose None. And I, of course, could edit that text, save that, share it on social media. The advantage of using the Post on the phone is that if I have linked up my social accounts, I can share to my feeds directly from the app to streamline that. So I could share to Instagram. I could then go back into Resize and choose, my next format. I could go to, say, Pinterest, tap Done, go ahead and reposition the crops if I need, and then just share to Pinterest from my account. I can also download the file and share directly at a later time if that's what I'm interested in doing. Okay, the last thing I'll show for Post is I'm going to go ahead and take that original Instagram design and reopen it. And this time I want to turn it into an Instagram story. It's a tall vertical format. The story format is becoming pretty popular in all the major social platforms, so Instagram, Facebook, and of course Snapchat, the one that started it all. I'm going to go ahead and tap Resize again, and I'm going to scroll over and choose Instagram Story, and tap Done, so it automatically resized all that. I'll go ahead and change the crop of that image just by using my gesture to scale that image, just using 2-finger pinch to rezoom that. I'll go ahead and move that logo into the center, get those alignment guides, looking good. And now I want to treat this a little bit special because if Instagram Stories support animation and video content as well. So if I tap on my effects button on the bottom right of my screen here, I've got animation effects as well. Now we've got some simple animations without having to worry about a timeline or any complex interface. I've got 3 presets to animate the text. So if I tap Fade, I'll get a little preview of how that text will fade in. Makes it a little bit more engaging. Or I can choose to have it to slide in. And if I just want to animate the image instead of the text, I can choose, say, something like Zoom. So this is just a more engaging way to present the content if you're posting it as an Instagram story or a Facebook story. Once you've added animation to your project, if I hit Share, it's going to ask me, if you want to preserve that animation, you would need to save that as a video. And then you can share that video in your story, depending on the platform you're sharing it to. So that's just a quick preview of what that's like. All right, let's exit out of here. And yes, there was a question coming in. I'll just repeat it. Is Spark included in my Creative Cloud plan? Yes. Spark with Premium, so again, there's a free version of Spark that doesn't include the ability to replace the Spark branding and make it your own. The Spark with Premium features that does support that is included in just about every Creative Cloud plan, including the photography plan, if that happens to be the plan that you're in. Okay, let's jump back to our browser and let's talk about creating a Spark video. So I'm going to scroll down and open up a project that I had already started. I showed you the final version of that. I'm going to go ahead and edit this particular video. Again, just to show that it's a system, it can be done in the browser or on the mobile device as well. We'll wait a second while this project is being loaded up into our editor. And to complete this project, I'm going to add some additional slides. You'll see the interface for Spark Video. It's not a complicated timeline. It's slide-based. If you've used normal presentation software, it should be a familiar metaphor for you. And right after this particular slide, I want to insert another slide and add some graphical content to that. So I'll click on that slide there and click the plus button to add a new slide. And I'm going to upload a photo. And I want this to be the board shorts guy. Go ahead and click open. That looks good. If I go to my layout button at the top, I've got 4 different layouts to choose from. The default here is full screen, so it makes the image bleed from edge to edge. I actually want this to be a split screen layout, and that automatically scales the image down to fit that cell on the left. If I want to swap the positions between the split screen, I can go ahead and just click the middle button there. And I'm going to go ahead and add some additional content in this right-hand side. I can add either another photo or some text. I'm going to go ahead and click text and say 50% off all board shorts. Looking good. It automatically set a duration of 2 seconds to the slide. If I want that slide to be played in the video a bit longer, I can just click on that button and adjust the timing of that. I'm going to go ahead and just keep it at the default 2 seconds. After that slide, I'm going to add one more. Do something very similar. I'm going to click photo again. This time though, I don't have a particular photo that I want to have an image of flip-flops, and I just don't happen to have one on my device. So if you are a Adobe Stock subscriber as well, we have integration with Adobe Stock, but we also have some free image search that you can leverage as well. So I'm going to click find free images, and I'm going to type in flip-flops. And all without having to leave Spark, I've got access to hundreds of thousands of images to choose from. And that's the image that I'm looking for right there, a little wall of flip-flops. Great, I'm going to go back to layout and choose split screen again. And it will go ahead and change that layout and that design. We'll add our text. Buy 3 pairs, get 1 free. Looking pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and close this project and save those changes. And again, just to show how the system works between mobile and desktop, I'm going to again switch back over to my mobile app, my iPhone, and launch the Spark Video app here to continue editing that particular project. You'll see that it's currently synced. This is a larger project than just a simple post graphic. So I'm going to wait for that cloud to be done spinning, and I can go ahead and tap to open up that project. And yes, it's quite possible to create this type of content all on my phone. If you think about it, especially if you're out at events, if you're doing some volunteering or you work for a nonprofit or something like that, or even for your company, your camera and your video camera is always in your pocket. You don't necessarily have to wait to get back to your office to actually create this type of content with a desktop computer. You can do it right on your device as well. So like you saw in the browser, there's that slide-based timeline at the bottom, and I want to insert another slide here after this new styles sell out quickly slide. I'm going to tap the plus button again, and this time I'm going to add a video clip instead of just a graphic or some text. So I'm going to cycle through to my camera roll and choose this 21-second video. By default, it trims it to the first 3 seconds. I can go ahead and use what we call the lollipops to change the duration, how much of that video clip I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and actually shorten it, and you'll see why in just a second. It's going to use the first 2 seconds at this video clip. And that's it. That's the only UI. Just decide how much of that video clip you want to use. You can also just press and drag the entire gray square on that slider to decide which 2 seconds you want to use, but I'm going to use the first 2. I'm going to tap done, and it's going to go ahead and trim that video clip and add it to that slide for me. And I'm going to go ahead and add some text on top of this. And it's going to say, come early. Great. And tap done. Now, I want 2 additional slides. I want the statement to say, come early for the best selection. But what I want to have happen is I want this video that I started with, I want it to continue to play as the text changes. So video has made this drop dead simple. There's a little button here on my screen just below the scissors in the upper right-hand corner here. This is called the Continue from Here button. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And what that does is it creates a new slide for me. You'll notice that the playhead, the trim bar for the video, automatically knows that you stopped at 2 seconds on the previous slide. So that's the starting point for this new slide. And I can choose what duration I want to use for this additional slide. I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit smaller, make it 2 seconds again. And I'm going to tap Done. And it's going to automatically figure out how to seamlessly transition between those two clips as the video plays and changes slides. So I'm going to go ahead and change that text and type in "for the best." Great. We're going to do this one more time because we need one more slide for the final piece of text that says selection. And again, we want that video to continue playing seamlessly across all three of those slides. So I'm going to tap the Continue from Here button. Again, it automatically figures out where that video is supposed to be, trim it down to 2 seconds, tap Done, adds that video clip, and we'll go ahead and type in our text and say selection as the final word. Hopefully this is all making sense over Connect, and you're seeing just how easy it is, and delightful actually, to create this type of content. I'm going to go back to that first slide here, and I'm going to choose Preview from Here so you can actually see how that plays. Awesome. And there's that final outro screen. So that's Spark Video in both desktop and web browser. We'll go ahead and switch back out to our browser here. And we'll talk about that third format, a lightning tour again, for Spark Page. And again, I showed you the finished version of this digital brochure or newsletter or promotional landing page. There's all sorts of use cases for Spark Page, given that it's just HTML and responsive HTML to boot. There's the finished version. I'm going to scroll down to one where I just have it started, and we'll go ahead and do a few quick edits here just to get a flavor of what it's like to use Spark Page. So the first thing is there's a cover image. What is your title? What is your cover? Usually it's a really beautiful photography that we want to highlight as our initial view. So I'm going to click the Add Photo button, and I'm going to browse to upload a specific photo that I want to use for my cover. And that'll just take a second, and that gets loaded. Now, when that image comes in, it's a full screen image, full width image. So we want to be able to basically tell Spark Page which part of this image is most important, especially when it gets translated to a mobile version. It's going to go down to a much taller, narrower screen. So you can tell Spark Page which part of this video, of this image, is most important. When I click on the cover image, I get a little bubble, and one of the options here is called Focal Point. If I go ahead and tap on that, this brings up just a simple circle where I can tell it by placing that circle where I think the most important part of the image is. And if you look here in the upper right-hand corner, you're getting an integrated preview of what this cover will look like when viewed on a tall, skinny phone screen, so to speak. So this just lets me reposition that focal point and give a live preview of what it looks like as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. And I've customized my cover. Now, the default position for the title of the cover is in the center, but it can be moved, of course. If I just click and drag, I've got 9 different places that I can move it in case it's interfering with my cover image. So I'm going to go ahead and move it over to the left-hand middle side. And you'll see it automatically adjusts the alignment so that everything's left aligned if that's where I put it. As you would expect, if I move it over to the right, it becomes right aligned. If I put it in the center, it becomes center aligned. Again, Spark is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. All right, so I scroll down. Again, you'll see these plus signs. The plus signs is just, do you want to add additional content above or below whatever content you already have in there? I'm going to go ahead and add what we call a photo grid. I've got 4 or 5 images that I want to showcase in a beautiful grid. I'm going to click the plus button, and you'll see that I've got several different types of content that I can add to my page. A photo, text, and a button that can have a link assigned to it. If you have a video published as a Spark video or a YouTube video or Vimeo, and you have a URL to that, you can integrate a video into your Spark page as well. I'm going to choose Photo Grid. And it says, great, what images do you want to use for your photo grid? I'm going to go ahead and upload my photos. I'm just going to go ahead and select all 4 at the same time. And it will generate a photo grid for me and automatically do the layout. If I want to swap the position of these images, I can use the move backward or move forward buttons. It makes that pretty simple. Once I've got my grid the way I like it, I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. You'll see it adds that content into my Spark page. I'll add one more photo just to kind of show you some of the options here. This time, instead of a photo grid, I'm going to insert a single photo and use this in an interesting way. I'm going to upload my photo and go with full width. Good. By default, the image comes in as what we call an inline photo. So it just brings it in and puts it in the center. But if I click on that photo, I have several other display options for how to treat that photograph. If I choose fill screen, it just makes it fill the screen, and then I have this nice scroll effect to reveal it and hide it as you're scrolling the rest of the content. Go ahead and click on that again and choose window. Here I get a small, like a peekaboo effect. I get a little sliver and I reveal just a portion of that as the user is scrolling through that document. And then I can do full width, which gives me the full size image. Now, getting back to branding, we set up that brand kit and you'll see that this particular page is using a custom branded theme. It's using that purple brand color, that font that I chose for my brand. I can experiment with different themes for both page and video. In the upper right-hand corner in both of the formats, there's a themes button. And if I tap on that, what you'll see are those 3 branded themes that got created for me. With just one click, I can change to the medium theme. And you'll see as I scroll, that gives it a solid color background. It changes the typography a little bit. Same thing with dark. Or I can actually choose any of the built-in themes if I want to go off-brand for any particular reason. Again, maybe this is a project as a side hustle. So if I click on Trek, you'll see it completely changes the look and feel. Some of the scroll effects change, some of the layout changes, the typography, of course, changes, and the color palette changes as well. So again, once you've got your branded theme set up, if you want to apply that, you can do so with just a single click. If you want to customize your branded theme, you've got all sorts of levels of control to be able to really get specific about how you want your branded themes for both page and video to look. If I click the Edit Theme button for the light theme, this will take me out of my project temporarily and open up the theme editor for page. Same equivalent functionality for Spark Video as well. If you click on the Edit button for a Spark theme, video theme, you'll be taken to the theme editor for video. As I scroll through, you'll see this is just sample content. So if I click on an example heading 1, you'll see that I've got additional styles to change how that heading is represented. I can change the colors of the heading. If there's been a shape that's been applied to that, I can choose the color of the shape. I can choose the style of the text, whether it's caps or not. And again, you can just scroll through and choose any example element. So let's say you have buttons in your page. You can choose the style and shape of the button, the color of the text, the background color, and so forth. If I go to an image, I can change the style of the caption and so on. So every element within a Spark Kit page can be customized if you are a Spark with Premium user, and you can customize and create your own branded themes. Okay, same thing if I were to close that and go into a Spark Video project. Actually, I'll just show you by going back into my organizer and choosing Manage Brand. Again, that's where all our brand elements are stored. If I scroll down, there's the proxies for the theme editor, themes for page and for video. If I want to edit the video theme, I can do it from within the video editor, or I can do it from Manage Brand here right in the browser. I go ahead and click Edit. And just like you saw with Spark Page, once that editor loads, you'll see I can change the color pairings of the content in Spark Video, and I can choose the font pairings as well. So you really can get a consistent look and feel by setting up your brand, editing the themes to your liking, using your brand ingredients. One last thing I'll show you, if I go over to my published page here, you'll notice that as I first load that page, there's a header at the top where I've got the logo, and I've got a custom call to action button here as well. Here I've customized it to say shop the sale, and if I were to click that, that would actually take me to whatever link I've assigned to that button. If I scroll to the bottom of the page, there's also the logo in the footer, and you can also have a call to action button there as well. To add that, you would go back to your brand manager, and at the bottom, one of the last things, we talked about the branded surfaces at the very beginning. If I click on page header and footer, I can actually customize that header and footer that will be added to my published pages. So if I click on the call to action category here in the upper right, you can see that it's split by header and footer. In the header section, I can turn the button on and off. So if I don't want a button, I can just hide it altogether. If I do want it, I can change the text. If I just want it to say, visit us, I can do it that way. And I can change the link for that button as well. So I know I'm moving fast, but trying to give you a pretty good overview of how the Spark system works, including how the branding works. At that point, I think I'm actually going to pause and actually look at some of the questions that have been coming in. I'll repeat it. People are asking about Android. Are we working on it? When's it coming? Yes, it's coming soon. We are working on Android versions. You'll see a post version probably coming out first. If you'd like to sign up for, I think we might actually have it here at the bottom. Well, Anik, if there's a way to post a link to the sign up to be notified for Spark into the Connect pod somewhere, that'd be great to share that link. Otherwise, we'll try to find it and they'll text it to me and I'll show it on screen in a moment. What are the plan options with Spark? Where can you purchase? So if you just go to spark.adobe.com, the basic entry-level version of Spark is free. If you've never signed up or created an Adobe ID, that's the only thing you need to do. You just use an email address and that creates your Adobe ID. And then you have free access to all of Spark. So you can use page, video, post, and create all that type of content. If you want to get rid of the Spark branding on that content and replace it with your own, then you need to either upgrade and purchase the Spark specific plan, or, as we said earlier, if you're already a Creative Cloud subscriber for just about every other plan, so whether it's CC All, the All Apps plan, or even just an individual product, like maybe you just have a subscription to Photoshop or InDesign, or maybe you're a photography plan member, Spark with premium features is also included in all of those plans as well. Is there a Teams version of Spark? Yes, there is a Spark for Teams SKU, just like any of the other subscription options or product options at Adobe, where it lets you manage your licenses and assign them and reclaim them and give them out. If you have an ever-expanding, growing team and dynamic team, you can manage your license that way for Spark as well. If you're an education organization, K through 12, or in higher ed, we just recently announced that Spark with premium features is free for schools, students, teachers, and faculty as well. So there's a way that you can deploy Spark Premium to entire schools. There's a URL for more information about that if you're interested in that as well. Another question, are you able to print with Spark? Yes, if you're using Spark Post to create graphics and flyers and brochures, the resolution of those projects is high enough that you can easily do either an 8.5 by 11 or an I think it's A4 size projects or smaller, and then it's enough resolution to print out great. You would just simply download here. Let's say we wanted to print this one. Let's just say that this was a poster or a flyer. I would just simply download that in the upper right-hand corner in the editor, or save to camera roll if you're doing it on your phone. And that saves it as a graphic, as a file, and then you can just print that or send that to someone if they need to print that. What are the other questions? What photo options are available? So yeah, let's actually show that in context. So if I go into a particular project and I choose Add Photo, you'll see this is the Spark Image Picker. So you can upload a photo from your local device, whether it's your computer or if you're on your mobile phone, it would be your camera roll. And these are some of the other sources. If you've stored your photographs in Dropbox or Google Photos or Lightroom, you can navigate to your folders there and choose the images wherever you have them stored. If you've saved your files on Creative Cloud Files, you can actually browse there as well. You can search for licensed images that you can license through Adobe Stock. Those are not free. You would need to have a standalone, you would have to have credits that you pay either through your subscription or your purchase credits. You can search for watermarked images if you just want to prototype and you're not sure which images you want to use, but you can search and just place watermarked images from Adobe Stock. And then when you want to actually use them for real in your final project, you would just license them directly from within the product. And then, of course, we have Find Free Photos, which we source from a variety of sources. Unsplash, Pixabay, Flickr. So you can search across all of those free sources as well. How do you know if you have premium already or not? That's a great question. The best way is here I'll go actually to an account that doesn't have premium. You will see a button that says upgrade to the left of your login avatar. That's the quickest way to know whether or not you've not got those options. If the upgrade is not there and you see it still says add brand, that means you're entitled, you're able to use the branding features that you just haven't set up your brand yet. So you would click the add brand button and go through that brand setup exercise that I showed you earlier. Another question, can I create multiple brands in Spark Premium? Currently, not in the way that you're probably thinking. I can't create a Zulu brand and then go through another brand setup manager and create up a second brand. However, you can add multiple brand elements within your particular brand. So if I go back over to my branded account here, if I go to the logos button, I can go ahead and add logos from a completely different brand. Now they will all be merged into a single repository here, a library of assets, if you will. But only the templates where you use those brand elements remain linked to those assets. So if I was able to add additional logos here and additional colors, then I created branded templates with just those icons and colors. If I go back and edit those assets, only the templates that use those assets will update. All the other elements, all the other templates and themes that use the other branded elements would remain untouched. So it's kind of a workaround. We have a big feature request for supporting multiple brands, and we are definitely taking that into consideration. Pay attention to a Spark near you, and maybe you'll hear what we're doing there. I've got a request to show the power of Resize again. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and open up just this random image here in Post. I'll go to the Resize button. Again, this is available in the iPhone version and the web version. You simply just click on the Resize button on the far right, and then you just choose the preset size that you want to target. So if I choose Facebook, it just relays that content out automatically. It already knows what the pixel dimensions are for the Facebook size. If I choose Instagram landscape, if I go back to Pinterest, go to YouTube thumbnail. If I want to do more of a print size, I'll go down to the standard category. I can choose landscape or letter, 8.5 by 11, and so forth. And you'll see just with one click, I get those resize. Okay, running out of time here. Let's think about some other questions here. How can you access Spark? Yeah, so it's spark.adobe.com is the URL, or if you just Google Adobe Spark, you'll get the link that way. All three of the formats, again, are available in the iTunes store, the App Store. So you'll see there's separate applications for Spark Post, Spark Video, and Spark Page available for iOS on iPhone and iPad. We are working on the Android versions. You'll learn more about that throughout later this year. There is, if you Google Adobe Spark Android, you'll probably in the top results see a link where you can sign up to be notified when the Android versions are available. Another question is, can you have your own domain name for Spark web pages created with Spark Page? The answer is not yet. However, you can embed any published Spark page into any other website that you have ownership of. Just like embedding a YouTube video in any website, you can take the published link of a Spark video or a Spark page and embed that in any other website. Okay, Aneep, looks like we're wrapping up. Do you have any other really important questions that you want me to answer during this webinar? I'll look for you in my chat pad here. Not sure if I see anything else. Okay, yes, and we will stay on and continue to answer questions in the chat pad. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for the moment. And Phil, if you can actually bring up that end slide where we show the URL. Good. If you're dropping off, thank you so much for your attention. I hope you found the webinar useful and enlightening and inspiring. And definitely go check out Adobe Spark. I know a lot of you had said you'd never used it before. We'll be sending out an email with a link to the recording. So if you want to share this with other people, you found it valuable, you'll be able to do that as well. And happy Sparking. Thank you so much.